What's going on, guys? Today we're attacking a dumbbell only push-pull upper body workout. So if you only have dumbbells available and you want to train your upper body pressing and pulling muscles, this is a fantastic workout for you. This workout includes 6 different exercises and it should ideally last you about 45 minutes tops. The idea was to provide a relatively quicker workout so you can use it on a regular, pretty frequent basis and get through it pretty quickly, especially if you're training at home. Without further ado, let's dive in. All right, the first move we're gonna tackle is a dumbbell bench press. Now, generally I'll superset these workouts because they speed up the tempo. When we're training at home with minimal equipment, I don't really like resting a long time in between sets to do one exercise, so I'll superset to kind of keep things moving a little bit quicker. But for our first 2 exercises, we are just gonna keep them as single exercises throughout. So we are trying to increase effort on these sets. So we'll go a little bit heavier. We're gonna slow down the tempo. So for these sets, we're gonna do a 4x8 with dumbbell bench, a 3-second tempo down, a nice controlled bottom. So we're not gonna have a physical pause, but we are gonna make a point to actually control that weight at the bottom versus slingshotting and using our stretch reflex. And then we're gonna complete the rep. So 8 smooth reps, let's go. Now I will say, if you're watching this and you don't have very heavy dumbbells, think of ways that you can drive the effort up, right? Because when we're trying to progressively adapt all the time, effort is a huge factor in doing so. So add longer tempos, add pauses at the bottom, whatever you have to do to increase your work and effort while also maintaining technically good form. A little bit winded. Now, it's worth pointing out that with rest times as you go through these workouts, they should be factored in towards your goals. So if your goals, for example, are strength and you have heavy enough dumbbells to really push your strength adaptations, then take longer rests. Basically, take the rest you need to complete the full next set with quality reps. If you're rushing through just to rush through and you're missing reps, then you're not really optimizing your training. So again, I like to keep my workouts moving, but within the means of where I can still get in quality reps during my set. So if I only rested 60 seconds this time, for example, but I missed my 8th or 7th rep even, then I would know to rest a little bit longer, especially if my goals are strength focused or if I'm really trying to hit a certain weight that I've either done before or I'm trying to hit for the first time. All right, so just wrapped up the bench. Next move we're gonna tackle is the single arm dumbbell row. Now what I will say is if you have a bench or like a coffee table or something that is about 2 feet, maybe 1.5 feet. I prefer to do my dumbbell rows from this position because it makes it a little bit easier to really allow that lat to stretch during the eccentric at the bottom and then complete the rep. So we just did a 4x8. We're gonna do a similar flow. So we're gonna hit a 4x10 with the dumbbell row. So nice set back, fully up, squeezing the lat at the bottom, letting the dumbbell actually stretch the lat. So a lot of lifters will stop short here and then just complete, let the lat stretch. We're not using a tempo with this movement, but what I will say is to try to keep it controlled, like 2 to 3 second eccentric, and use that stretch to gauge how far you need to go down. If you notice that you're going so quickly that it's almost pulling you out of position, then my guess is you're rushing. So with the dumbbell row, a cheat code if you're training by yourself and you have nobody to watch your form is at the top. There are a couple different cues you can use to actually engage the lat. You can, number 1, pretend you're starting a lawnmower. So doing that nice back motion here, where we're really engaging the lat to pull versus just coming out. Or what I like to also think is to pretend there's like a piece of paper in between my armpit and my lat, and my goal is to pull back and squeeze it as hard as I can. So pull, 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 pull. And if I'm contracting that lat, My lat's gonna be nice and flared and flexed, squeezing as tight as I can. It's a nice, easy way to self-cue lat engagement. A lot of people don't actually engage the lats correctly in dumbbell row, in my opinion. So doing them in this setup with that kind of thought pattern is an easy way to kind of mentally check for yourself. Also, another tip with the dumbbell row is if you are able to go heavier on each side, take a mini rest in between each side. I'm winded. I took a rest in between each side. I take like 45-second rest because if we are training heavier and really pushing strength for a movement like this and we hit one side, we are not gonna be as efficient when we hit the other side. So give yourself a little rest so you feel fresh to getting quality reps on the opposing side for your set. All right, so we just wrapped dumbbell row. Now we're gonna head into a 1.5 incline dumbbell bench. This is one of my favorite bench variations, especially with dumbbells, when my focus is getting in quality training volume and focusing on time under tension. This is also a great variation for anyone without super heavy weights at home. All right, so after the 1.5 incline dumbbell bench, we're gonna head into a lighter chest supported dumbbell row. The goal here is to focus on tempo, but also quality lat contractions. By going from a heavier to a lighter movement, it allows us to kind of partition our energy a little bit better, but also put a lot of quality training volume with a higher rep scheme on this movement. So our goal here is to think about opening the chest and really contracting the lats. And then we're gonna do a 1 second hold at the top to really focus on our contraction. All right, so 2 quick points about the superset is number 1, take the rest you need in between your sets to get in quality reps for the preceding sets. And then number 2, in the 1.5 incline dumbbell bench, try to limit your thoracic arch. We don't want to bastardize the movement so much to where we are arching almost like we're an exorcist. Try to keep that rib cage down, and that's gonna limit how much extension we're putting that torso into, so we can really focus on hitting the upper pec and anterior deltoid with this exercise. And when completing that half rep, try to control the movement pattern. Don't just let the dumbbells crash during the second eccentric. Make sure you control the movement to make sure you're not losing tension and keeping quality contractions, once again, on the muscles we're physically targeting. So our final superset is going to be a Z press paired with a modified dumbbell Meadows row. Now with the Z press specifically, this can be a tougher movement for some people to get into, especially if you do have limited mobility when it comes to your hips and so forth. So if you need to modify it, go ahead and do a half kneeling single arm dumbbell shoulder press. That will suffice as well. The whole idea here was to get some vertical pressing in, but also challenge the core a little bit. The Z press is obviously more of an advanced variation, but if you need to modify it, no shame there. The goal here is to complete 3 sets of a quality 10 to 12 reps. The second movement, the dumbbell Meadows row, is a variation I've been playing with. So if you've ever done a Meadows row, you'll set that up in a landmine. Now, what we're gonna do with the dumbbell instead is take a similar stance that we would in that Meadows row. So we're gonna take that nice staggered split stance, put our weight into that grounded leg where we're putting the arm onto, and then we're gonna grip the dumbbell in a pronated fashion. What we're gonna think about is slightly angling our grip to the more medial side of the dumbbell, so the side that is closer to that weight or the leg we're putting that weight on. And that's gonna try to reflect similar to that landmine range of motion where it is kind of on that incline slant. And we're gonna try to mimic the exact range of motion we would use with the traditional Meadows row. Now, if this doesn't feel that comfortable for you, because at the end of the day, I have been playing with this variation and I'm not entirely sold on it either, you can totally turn your grip to a more traditional neutral grip and get in the quality rows there. But if you do want a variation to play around with and try out that is a little bit different, Give this variation a try. Let me know if you like it in the comments below and if it works for you. My one piece of advice is to keep the weight a little bit more light, really work on the movement pattern and feel it out and see what works best. Generally, if you go a little bit heavier here, since we don't have a landmine setup, you're gonna probably not be able to get as effective reps in, so keep the weight a little bit lighter here, and the goal here is to work for like 3 to 10 to 12 reps, just like in the Z press or the half kneeling shoulder press. So a couple notes on this workout. Number one, if you don't have that heavy of dumbbells, but you still want to get in a quality workout, use tempos, pauses, and 1.5 reps. They're a fantastic kind of low threshold tool to program and implement to drive effort up. We know that in order to adapt, we need to have effort-driven workouts. So when we do have limited equipment and limited weight in this case, we can still drive effort up by playing with those variables. If you like this workout, guys, and you want to see more like this, drop a like on this video, drop a subscribe to the channel. It helps and motivates me. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one.